All right, guys, this is the Boneyard Podcast. I'm your host, Big Bear Berg, leader of Bone Regiment. Today, my guest here is Elite Taco, one of the leaders of JNAD. They're a flip flop, so they're dirty bloods. They go Collie and Warden. Me and Taco have had a few good laughs, played a few wars together. JNAD and Bone are pretty close, and I'll let Elite give his little introduction of himself here.
I don't know if there's much to introduce me about. Started playing Foxhole. I think 2019 is when I bought it, and then actually started playing it for real in 2021. Old Shard 2, old Shard 2 guy. When Shard 2 closed down, I came over to Shard 1, played Colonials, and stayed there until 1.0. Then I got bored of that war. Joined up with a group in Baker. Ended up being a keystone member in the Big BL, which was prominently Warden. And then Birdman stopped playing. So we changed our name out of his request to JNAD, and the only condition being that we are effectively neutral. So last war we played Warden, this war we're playing Colonial. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm about.
Hey, dude. Well, so a little bit of some hot takes. Bear is a little frustrated. My baby got touched with the newest dev patch notes. A little pissed. Nemesis got touched. We'll move on.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the new update? What are your thoughts on this new update that they're bringing? A couple of small hot fixes, roadmap drop, such and such like that. What are you thinking about all the new changes?
I think by and large, a lot of them were positive. I definitely would have liked to see them touch the colonial gunboat a little bit more than they already have. But from what I've heard, the firing arcs on the sides are way larger than they used to be. So
I will
I guess
tell
we'll
you,
see if it's enough.
the gunboat and the testing me and Tenkin have done, I think the colonial gunboat is going to dominate. I'm just saying all three guns can fire on the same target at the front of the
Yeah,
boat.
is that what they did?
Yeah, so the firing arc, so like the boat is like this, right? The firing arc is right here, straight. So you make a little trident, like an aiming arc, like a trident like that, and you're gonna be able to hit all three guns. Like if you're like crossing the T, this is the colonial boat. You'll be able to hit all three guns on a Warden boat.
All right.
And it has a pretty good arc to the back. Now the thing is, it can't see its butt. The back end of the collie boat, which is the back end, it's very exposed. But with the turn increase that they gave it, it will be very, very, very hard to exploit the collie boat weakness. Now there will still be the chance if you arc a shot in it from a distance. The spotter will die still. But I will say, like, in my personal opinion, I think the Collie gunboat, to be honest now, they said they don't want it to be as good as the Warden gunboat, but I think it's better. I think the Collie gunboat, it's a knot slower. The Warden gunboat goes 16 knots. The Collie gunboat now goes 15. We're going to be able to keep up with frigates now and harass frigates. We're going to be able to keep up with our DDs. We're going to be able to screen more for DDs when they're getting hit by torpedoes. Like, all in all, like the gunboat change, I will tell you, I was probably one of the most tilted people when all I heard was they added some fucking metal plates on the side. But
Yeah, you
when
gotta
I
read the
heard
questions to see.
the speed buff, the gun arc buff, and the where those metal plates are, like I really think the Collie gunboat And we'll have to see, but I really think it's going to be more dominant than the Warden one, in my opinion, because I think you're going to have two guns no matter what firing angle you're at in the Kali gunboat, unless that boat is asked to you, which you can change very rapidly with how fast it turns. You will always be able to have two guns on target, no matter what, and at best you could have three.
Let's see if that's enough to bring the Navy out of the museum this next war.
I think they're moving in the right direction. I think they hit the biggest indifference in Navy with the gunboat fix. I do think that we're going to have to learn a different meta of how to play it. I think, we should be using those things in the river a lot. I think it'd be very strong in a river. Especially because you can have three guns forward. So now you can go up to a beach, and instead of having the mortar have to try to pick infantry off, you could have two 30 mils or two, lamentums shredding infantry. As long as you keep your butt away from the beach, you're gonna be balling. I really think they hit the head exactly where they needed to. I think the Kali sub is still
ass.
I think it's horrible. I think the easiest way to balance it, in my opinion, it's a bigger boat. Give it double or even triple the time underwater. It's so much bigger. It needs to be underwater longer because it has to maneuver so much more than the Naki to get in the position to shoot. If it had more positioning or more time to position correctly and more time to get in a good trajectory,
like a firing position.
Yeah, I think it just takes so long for the Kali gun or Kali sub to get in positions like that, that we just don't have enough time. You go one hex and you turn like a lot in that hex, and a lot of our hexes you're turning a shitload in like a Krithia, even Terminus. After you get out of Terminus, there's a lot of turns. Into the fingers.
Yeah, into reavers.
And reavers. So you're churning a lot of your battery if you're going underwater in there, and when you're getting pushed back, you have to. And I think that's where the Naki really dominates us. Is it's so much smaller. We're in a parking garage, dude, and we got a 350, and we're fighting a fucking Suzuki. You know what I'm saying? Like we're in the
Kia Rio.
Yeah, Kia Pinto. You know what I'm saying? Like just and it just whipping around us, dude. We can't. That 350 engine. It's got the hog in it, dude, but. It can't do it in a small parking space, brother, And
I haven't really touched subs that much since the initial update.
I think they're moving in the right direction. But even I remember you saying when we ran the at the time Big BL DD, you guys liked the Warden frigate better, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think that has to... Ooh, thank you for the hydrate, Wisconsin. I think a big portion of that is the ammo rooms. I think the ammo room problem and having the guns having, like, almost 20-meter dispersion, like having to give two azimuths and two distances that aren't within 5... Like, when you're side on to a target, right, and your guns are like this, and you have to pinpoint to that, you have to give two different azimuths to reach that point, and that's tough to do on the spot. When you're as the Warden one, it's like that, it's within like 5 meter,
within
dispersion, and so it adds up, and I don't honestly know how to buff the Kali DD to make it fight the frigate better. I think gunboats are going to help a lot, but I don't think we're addressing the big problem with the DDs. And that's they have less ammo, and where the ammo rooms are and how fast you can load the guns. They, after 45 shells, the wardens outfire the Kali DD. After 45 shells, and that's not a lot in a naval battle. You ship through that shit, and I mean, especially if you were hitting ground targets before and then getting a naval fight. Whew.
One thing that I was always curious whenever we take our ships out is that response from like an enemy naval is normally between the first and second, sortie. So, unless they got somebody right there, I don't know.
Well, there's no arguing that the Warden Navy is more active and the Warden Navy is more prevalent. My question always to this, and this is where I think a lot about balance on Foxhole. I think when you have something that is very strong, you will generally pull people towards that. And I think the Colonials can look at this and be like, when we had the Stygian bolt through War 100 or 94 to 106, our 6-war win streak, we had the Stygian bolt in that time. They had nothing to counter that. And then the STD comes out, 2 wars, 3 wars, they slapped us. Then they nerf it. Then we get a Spatha buff. We win that one. The pop switch matters a lot in the game. And I don't think there's a lot on the Colonial side that is making people want to join Kali. I think when you look at the game right now, and this is my true opinion on the game, I think when you look at the game right now, I think the pendulum balance is really bad. I think they pendulum balance a lot, and I think they've done better in recent patches than they have before, but they're still not fixing what they've done. I think the pendulum balance in gear is fluctuating where people go, and I think where the strongest gear is, you'll find the most players. Do I think that the Warden Armory is just absolutely dogging us like the Collies or the NPC faction? No. I think it's a lot closer than people would like to give it credit to. But I think there are a lot of small indifferences that really add up to really suck. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of stuff on the Collies that's really good, but if it had one more thing, it would be, oh my god. And I feel like their Wardens have that oh my god equipment. I think the HCD is oh my god equipment. I think the Super Heavy is oh my god equipment. I think Naki is oh my god equipment. I would say the Spatha was oh my god equipment. They've toned it down a little bit. But I just think a lot of what's going on is you're finding the Wardens have just slightly increased areas of hyper-focused stuff that make people drawn to go do that, right? I think the tanks fully go to the Wardens right now. And right now, I don't know if Naval's going to go fully Warden because we have gunboats. But is that enough to really counter the Naki and the Frigate DD difference? I don't know.
I mean, only a small portion of people are even going to touch naval in that regard, and most of those people are going to be clanmen that have that as a specific goal. I think if you look at the ship manufacturers on both sides, on the Warden side you have Hal County Naval Shipyards, and then on the Colonial side it's what, the CCF.
You get CCF and now UCF are. UCF has now been another major naval yard, and usually you have one taking over East Coast, one over West.
Right, and that limits the amount of dockyards and stuff, and typically has your naval output. But at the end of the day, you have to eventually use the ships. Was it War 119 last colonial victory?
You can add. I mean,
120.
CCF closed down now, though. Oh, CCF's closed. Never mind.
Okay.
I think it was 119. So my thing is, again, it just comes down to this. And I don't feel this, like, Bone is not a clan that does this, but I know how people feel. There are people that want to enjoy their assets that they farm for alone and don't want to share it with randoms. That's a big thing on the collies, and it's my shit's mine, your shit's yours. If we want to trade and talk, we can. There's not so much generosity other than WLL. T3C does leasing. Like, there's not a big, like, ship public thing going on for the collies. Especially if there's a good clan that does naval. There's not anyone they'd be like, dude, if we just get a ship, we could dominate. There's no one they could go ask for that ship. At least to my knowledge. And I think that's something that the Wardens do better. But again, I think when you look at, say, how the naval feels, and I'm gonna land my plane now. A lot of collies are scared to run
unfinished.
naval. Well, exactly, and a lot of collies are scared to run naval because they just lose their really expensive asset. And, like, to be honest, like, I really, like, if you really want to chalk it down, like, I really don't feel like naval has been fair to the collies for the past few wars. And I think that's a major reason why collies don't want to use naval is it right now just feels like we're the NPC faction in naval. And I don't...
That's interesting, because during the naval update, the Wardens got a submarine and a battleship. So you would think that with that extra 6 months or whatever the time was before the frigate came up, that the Colonials had to have the monopoly pretty much on the high seas up until late game. You would see more competent crews.
Well, and that's my thing. It's like...
And then that's why you get really good Warden submarines, is because, well, they played the submarines when they were bad, and now that they're actually usable. I mean, I remember if the destroyer caught wind of you, you're dead. Period.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it.
No, and I remember old torpedoes sucked. They were really bad, and that's my thing, dude. Is I just feel like the frigate is really overtoned now compared to what the DD was. Like, when the DD was uncontested to frigates, like big boat on big boat, it was dominant. But I feel like since they've gotten that frigate, I feel like the frigate is just, it's equal to the DD so much. And in ways it's better. I know it has less health, but you don't health kill boats. You normally sink boats due to,
Right.
And I think fire output, putting holes in ships is the biggest proponent to that. And I think when you have a more consistent fire and an more accurate platform, I think you're seeing that come to fruition. I think the battleships are fucking dead even. I think battleship fights, I've been in 2 of them now. I've won one and lost one. They're fucking sick. And I think battleships feel great.
Yeah.
But I just...
And they should.
They're awesome. Like, yeah. I remember even the one we went down. We killed so much concrete, and we killed, like, a frigate. And then that battleship came up. Whoa! Oh shit! Like, and we was just anarchy, dude. We were getting rocked, and we were rocking them. And then they took one of our guns out, and we're like, oh fuck! And we just send it till we go down, and it was awesome. We lost, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was a great feeling.
That's how the game should feel,
exactly.
Right? Even whether you win or you lose, you should still feel like it's fun.
And I feel like there's a lot of aspects of the game that aren't like that. And I really... Okay. Going back to the update and, like, kind of
yes.
talking about naval. Well, this really kind of pissed a lot of Colonials off, and I understand why. When the devs said the Colonial gunboat should not be as good as the Warden gunboat, that's fucked up. I don't like when a dev outright says there should be worse gear than the other team. You don't want symmetrical gameplay, but you should not say one should be better than the other. They should be different.
I feel like the parody for gunboats, the parody, yeah, parody, should be like Devitt versus Hatchet instead of something entirely different. I mean, they should be on equal terms where if you fight 1v1, it's going to be a 50-50 split. And it hasn't. It's always like, well, the Warden gunboat is faster, but the Colonial gunboat is cheaper. Who gives a shit? Give me something interesting. Okay, it turns quicker now. That's interesting. I like that shit. Give me more of that. Now we have to change tactics. Now you can't sit there and be in a blind spot. Otherwise, this guy's going to whip around like a frickin'...
And they're similar speeds, you know? And that's just... Yeah. I hate this dynamic of one side has to be better than the other. I fucking hate how bad the Kali Super Heavy is. I fucking hate the way our tanks are just...
Wait, what?
Well, you don't
think the Colonial Super Heavy's bad?
Do you think it's better than the Cullen Predator?
100%.
Really? 100%, I would love to hear your take on that.
It's the only platform in the game that shoots 75 at 40 millimeters. Yes?
Okay, so Raptura does, but
Raptura and I think the Stockade does a little bit, but nobody fucking uses the Stockade. It's a piece of shit.
Talos does 35 meter tanking.
Yeah. So if you're in a Predator and you kill all the tanks, or you die to Bards and end up on Reddit, or die to a Bane game and end up on Robert Loves Games, if you kill all the armor, what do you do?
Oh, it's time to PvE.
Yeah. How do you PvE in a Predator?
Well, so this is the problem, though. This is the inherent problem of why we hate it. We have a BT that does it really well. We had ballistas that were cheap. Now they've taken that away. Also made the Scorpion arguably way worse than it was. And
then they took away the second dedicated ammo slot for the Scorpion, didn't they?
No, they reduced it from 60 to 25 mags. The reason we say it's really bad is because the suppression and the mechanics of MGs now, when you hold it down, it blooms really big. And it's not accurate. Change, and it really is hard for us to be anti-infantry when 20 mil makes you full bloom all the time. And you feel like you're shooting full bloom 24/7. And it's just
like that probably with the Bardish or the Quadish, right?
It's exactly the
like
same thing.
You can't shit.
And that's where it's like, these are MG designed tanks. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. They should not have... I do agree suppression should be a thing, but I don't think that we should be getting that nerfed.
Non-MGs.
You know, I just don't like that. But going back to it, like, we have the Talos that shoot 75. We have the BTs that shoot 75. Granted, these are only 35 meters, but they're also literally probably like a tenth of the price. You can make 3 BTs for the price of 1 Super Heavy. You know, is it worth it to have 75s at 40 meters, 5 extra meters? And when you really talk about it, it's not 40 meters. When you're talking about tank on tank, and the fuel's cheaper, by the way, but it's not 40 meters because it's from the end of the barrel, and the end of the barrel is 5 meters or like 3 meters back from the tracks. So when you're really fighting other tanks, it's not 40 meters. It's more like 36 meters, and that just feels horrible. As, like, if you look at the... You know what I'm talking about? You picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
It doesn't make it to be a really good, like, killer at all. It gets popped way before... It's slow, so it can't catch its target. It gets full suppression by the time it gets to its target. And then the third thing, when it does get to its target, it's 75, so it doesn't have a high chance to pen. And it's just base 75.
It has the same chance as 68.
Does it?
Yes, 75 and 68 have a 1.2% chance to pen.
I am educated now.
And 75 shoots or does the same damage as 94.5.
No,
But it's high explosive.
because
Yes,
I
it
was gonna
does.
say,
The damage
well,
numbers are the same. Yes,
yeah, but
it does like
it's
960 or whatever.
but it's
But
mitigations with tanks because it's
it's
HE.
high explosive versus AT. But yeah, they.
So my point being though, me and Tankin were running the numbers the other day, and if you put the the Ares at 50% high velocity, which by the way, the Warden tank has a 35 high vo. We have no high vo on our dual 75. If you put a 50% high velocity modifier on it, on both guns, the Warden tank would out DPS you with one shot. And how many did it take, Tankin, for the Varsies to catch up to that? 6 Varsies, which that's a lot to be honest, but if it's tracked, not really, but 6 Varsies and one shot if we were at a 50% high velocity. And we're not. That's the issue when you're talking about like our super heavy feeling super weak. You're going against a tank that has high velocity, is way faster than you, has more health than you, and can dish out way more at a farther distance. Because by the time you push up to the super heavy, it can shoot you because how long its barrel is. And then you have a 68 shot to go pen a... You have the highest pen, so it's going to almost pen every time. It's 94.5. It's the highest chance pen in the game against a weaker armor.
Why not?
The Ares armor is not as good as the Warden's or anything close to it. The Wardens are going to pen you, and how good the Warden armor is on their super heavy, the likelihood, I forget the exact percent chance, but I think it's under 20. You have a like under 20% chance to pen them with your 75s both times. And
Depends on where you shoot them.
well, yeah, of course, of course. All that stuff has factors in it, you know what I'm saying? But max range, you know what I'm talking about. They're shooting you at max range. We're shooting them at max range. And let's just even hypothetically say head on. The likelihood is the Warden Super Heavy is going to beat the Ares every time. It's a very high likelihood the Warden Super Heavy beats the Kali Super Heavy. I would say almost 8 times out of 10. Just based off the numbers and the guns.
We never really get those sort of matchups in game anyway.
Well, because there's no reason to run the Ares. We already have a BT that's so good, and if we want a tank killer, why wouldn't you just run the BTD?
Yeah.
And so there's no variant or reason for us to run our super heavy. It's useless to the Kali utensil. We have better and cheaper things.
Doesn't even look cool.
Well, it's just a box with 2 guns up top. And we fucking hate it as Kalis. And this isn't like a big rant. Like, I think our BTs are fucking god tier compared to the Wardens. I do think you guys should have an advantage at the super heavy level. But right now, like, every Kali you ask, like a diehard Kali, will tell you why would you make an Ares other than for the memes and the flex. There's not
because
one.
I'm not poor.
Yeah, it's literally, you know what I mean? It's literally that reason. You just wouldn't run it unless you had extra match just to fucking, I have a good Logi crew, bitch. That's why I have this.
Right.
And that's all you run it
I
for.
I think by and large, super heavy tanks in Foxhole are pretty irrelevant when it comes to actually winning. Because even when they're on the field, they don't do much other than sit there and then go up and get scared off by like a single Bane guy. So I don't think they really have much impact to the war, regardless of how good they are.
I do think they compound, though. Like, they add... So I wouldn't put the super heavies at, like, the main pinnacle of what wins or loses a battle.
I think they're a trap. I think they're a trap designed to catch players in there. They're expensive to run. I would say they're expensive to produce, but since you can do pecans with scrap now, I mean, it just takes time. um,
I just think that
but
if you run it and you run one well, I think you can drastically change a battlefield with it. Um, you can literally
you can
one
say that
shot.
with like any tank though, or even artillery, or even a ship. Like, and those things either do the job better, do it cheaply, or are easier to acquire. Don't require as much logic.
Hmm.
But one thing I was really happy with was the Nemesis. I remember playing Collies. Collies were saying that it needs something else. It wasn't that good. And then playing the Wardens, and they're saying that it's super strong and not ought to be there. I think the Nemesis fills a role that was really lacking in the Colonial tank line. Um, and being on both sides of it, it's kind of like how one operates versus how it feels to fight against one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot better to play. It's a lot more fun to play the Nemesis than it is to fight a Nemesis. Um, Especially with the 20% chance of disable. If it doesn't get tracked, I don't know why I had the 20% disable chance in the first place, but that 30% bring it kind of more in line. I think kind of makes it a bit more fair. Um, I think another hot button issue that comes up is the tremolas that you shoot. Um, but unless those tremolas are like clearing pillboxes, I don't really see them that are putting more alpha damage on a BB that's already dying. Don't really see them. They're not that scary to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I'll
That they're a
tell
good
you,
utility.
that's where Bone completely flips the script because we think the tremolas are the main armament and the 68 is the secondary. If we get a track on you, if you are tracked at all, I can easily put a higher damage than a 75. I do 1,600 damage with a 68 pen and the tremolas. I do 1,600 damage. If you're tracked and you have to sit there and eat that, the tremolas are so good at anti-tank. Like, if you can just get it near it. And if there's a track or if there's a thing out of position or the driver's not in, those are how Bone has gotten like 30 kill Nemesis. Like, we absolutely adore it for the tremolas only. We've killed 2 STDs by putting tremolas in the fucking tub.
In the bathtub.
Yeah, and that's my boy Medine. Shout out to you, my boy. He's fucking Kobe Bryant. He's goddamn Kobe Bryant with that thing, dude. I'm telling you what. And I'm telling you, Bone loves the tremola more than the 68 gun. It is absolutely dominant. I think the reason the Wardens don't like it so much is because it's a well-designed tank for what it is designed for.
No, the only reason they dislike it is that it's hard to kill.
It is. It's very hard to
And
kill.
that's it.
It's hard to track and it's hard to kill. But to be honest, here's the deal. It's the same health as a Falchion. 3 shots from a HTD penning, it's dead. That's a guaranteed thing. 3 HTD shots, it's dead. 100%, no doubt, 3 pens kills it. And it's only a Falchion, right? And everyone looks at Falchions as weak pieces of shit. You just look at them as trainer tanks or things to put make Spothas,
Taloses.
Talos. But the Talos, I think, needs a buff. In this day and age of meta, I think the Talos needs a major buff, to be honest. And I'll chime in on that in a second, but the Nemesis is the design of it and why it's so strong. It's a diving flank ambush tank, right? It's an ambush. That's its whole thing. It can get in and out of areas quickly. And so it has a low track chance. And the reason Wardens don't like it is because we can get in and out effectively. So the whole meme of just flank bro, this is finally a tank that we can just flank bro, and now they're nerfing it. And that's why it makes me, like, as someone who actually loves that tank, there's so many times I've gotten away with 22% on my tank, and now you're just hurting my ability to just flank your fucking insane tank line. You know what I mean? Like, unless we just want to dive and be an NPC faction and let you fucking shoot the shit out of us in the Spatha, like, there's no real way to take an HCD around concrete. You know, there's not. With that, I can get in, put tremolos on it, and drive out. I think that's why it's so good, is because it is the perfect drive in and get the fuck out tank. And I really think it's a bad move to do that. I think if you guys have the better anti-tank shit, I think we need the more survivability shit. You know,
I mean, it does.
What's that?
It still has a 10% track chance.
Yeah, I mean,
unless it's tracked, you're not killing it.
I mean, but that's not true anymore, because now if you just put 2 shots into it, it's disabled, and now I can't get away. You know, I used to be able to play that second shot and get out. Now I can't. I can play 1 shot and then I have to back up with a horrible backup, like a reverse speed. You know what I mean? That's why. That's why I think it's a mistake to do it. I know it's very frustrating to fight it as a warden, but to be honest, I think they're jumping the gun on it. It's been 2 wars with the Nemesis, and I think you're already putting nerfs on that. I think that's crazy. It's literally just a falchion with a 68. And tremolas. You can't forget the tremolas.
And tremolas, yeah.
You know, I am a big proponent in the tremolas. But it's literally a falchion.
Tank.
Yeah, hey, what's up, Daily? Yeah, I have taco in here. You know, but, you know, at the same time, like, let's look at the Outlaw, though. The Outlaw has a 20% Hyvo out of its facility now, boost, and a machine gun. What do we get for putting our tank in the facility? We get a 10% high velocity, same range, faster gun, more armor.
You can still out DPS an Outlaw in a
but the thing is, you gotta bridge that gap. And see, this is the thing I talk about so much against the Collie versus Warden debate. We have to come meet you in the field. That's what's so annoying about being a Collie, is we have to come meet you to do our damage. Otherwise, you'll just pick us apart. And that's where I'm talking about. I think a lot more Collie tanks need a lower track chance. I think a lot more Collie tanks need to have a 20% disability chance, because we have, like, our mentality, and I think you would agree with it, is a dive tank mentality. It's dive in and get side shots. If we don't do that, we lose. We can't line fight, and we're not giving ourselves any advantage for diving. We're just diving to dive. And the Wardens can do the exact same thing at a better effect with a Bone Law. And pick us off at range. You know, it's very... You have the strongest tank in the game with the Bone Law. You have the highest armor, highest MPF-able damage tank in the game with the HTD. Like, we don't have anything outside the Nemesis, and so when you take that 20% away, it's a big deal. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's super unfair and super unbalanced. Like, I'll see it, I'll try it out, but I think there is a lot more to that equation than just hearing Wardens go, that's hard to kill and really hard to play against. I don't think that's very fun. It's hard to play against a good HTD, too. Really fucking hard.
Bardiche is also hard to kill, too. I love the
Bardiche has got to. Bardiche has got to. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. I love it now. I hope always loved the Bardiche. I always thought it needed something, and having that second 68 is just, oh my god, it's oh,
I think it's
I love
really
it.
strong. I think it's really strong. I think that it having that second alpha damage, I think it's good. I just still don't. Again, but what do you have to do in the Bardiche?
You have to be brave. Press W.
And that's where I think those advantages, like they're taking away from the Nemesis, need to go on the Bard. Like,
I would love to see a Bard disable at 20%, and Devman won't do it.
but like this is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be like, and I'm not trying to take away the Warden's strong suit. I don't want to take away the Bone Law and how insanely OP that thing is. I don't want to take away the HTD. I just want something able to meet it and fight it fairly. I just don't. I still don't even think an HTD versus Bardiche. I it's really hard to say who wins in that. Every factor comes into play. 1v1, it's hands down the Bard. I don't think a lot of tanks lose or win against the Bard. The Bone Law would, but I don't think there's a lot of tanks that would win against the Bard. 1v1.
Right.
But that's not the way
Bard
the
dies
game
to
works.
infantry before it dies to tanks.
Exactly. It gets tracked, and then it gets bullied. Getting tracked and playing brave is the two most contradicting things in the game. I think that should be a overall Kali thing, and I think then we should be okay with less range. I just don't think we get an advantage outside health, which when you're tracked, health means nothing. They just pick you apart. That's why I'm saying these small buffs like the 20% disable and the low track chance, those are the things Kali should be crying for. That would make us more successful. And to be honest, like I know this seems like I'm very just pro Kali, but to be honest, when you look at the statistics and look at Foxhole stats, Wardens have a 70... Is it 75? No. 65% win rate. The Collies have a 35% win rate right now. The Collies have a 35% win rate in 21 wars. Something is wrong, whether it's population, whether it's gear, a mixture of both. Collies just... I don't like when people are like, all Collies are toxic, because I'm a Collie. Fuck you. I'm not toxic. That's... You get the hunt on. But...
Flip it.
Clip it, that's what I was kind of clickbait there. No, but like I don't like to blame a whole player base on the issue. I just don't think that's right. Maybe the Wardens are just so much more organized, but I've been in the Collie and Warden planning rooms. Foxhole is toxic. It cannot be though. It's Foxhole's toxic and also one of the best places ever. You can find really cool fucking people in Foxhole. You find the best of the best and shitty of the shitty. And that is true. Yeah, I don't have the exact fucking like fix all button, and if it were my choice, like a lot of people are like, oh, you just fuck the Wardens over, and I really wouldn't. But I do think the Collies need love a lot more than the Wardens right now. 35% win rate on 50% of your player base. Like, something needs to change in the Collies. And you're right, there's never a fix-all button. That's 100% right, Daily. But there are things that will help. I think this update was good. Getting back to that whole fucking fiasco, what we're talking about. I think the gunboat change is good. I don't know that we ask for a Collie 250 push.
Yeah,
I think
nobody
it's
asked
cool.
for it.
I think it's cool. I think having a 30-meter 250 is really cool.
It looks like a pirate cannon.
It does, and I I have a picture to show you guys. If I can go pop out of here. I gotta be careful. I'm going into the memes channel on Bone.
I think what's funny about that is that
you see this
250s.
Me and Onions got it on top of a fucking sandbag wall. Can you guys see that in there on chat and stuff? I don't know. I thought it was really funny.
I don't even have your stream open right now.
No, it's okay. Me and Onions figured out if you do some finagling, you can get our Collie 250 on top of, like, you know how you do the sand castles where you have the double and the single? Well, you can get the Collie 250 on top of one of those and shoot over it. And we made pietards for trenches. You know what a pietard is?
A pietard?
Yeah, it's like a...
Not a pea that
What's that?
Has Down syndrome.
No, no, bro. It's a mortar that was used in World War I, where they'd like send it, and if your trenches got taken over, they'd send these big ass, like, I don't know what the millimeter was, but they were fucking huge at those old trenches, and they were big ass explosives. And Daily, talking about the ballista, talking about that, I think the ballista is also in a really bad spot. I think it's in a fucking horrible spot, to be honest. I think the ballista versus the chieftain debate is never been worse than right now. I think the ballista, being a facility tank, needs to be better. I stole a fucking chieftain last war, and I know how fucking good those things are and how fast they are and how you can suppress shit while you're killing shit. And why you can kill infantry while you're killing shit. That thing, the Scorpion getting nerfed into the dirt and the Ballista getting nerfed. Bro, there's got to be something that changes. It's fucking horrible to be a Collie in that aspect right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that your guys is a facility too, but you also get a mixture of two of our tanks in one at the facility. It ain't good, bro. It ain't good at all. And I think the Collies got shafted in that. I also think the Collies got shafted when you're talking about the Boma Stone nades going down to 11 fucking meters.
Take away pretty much the entire early war advantage for the Colonials.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 30 millimeter, the Damascus still is better than the double RPG thing. But... not by much. Not since they nerfed the reload on it, and it's like I said, it's not by much. And plus, with the
you just see the first power spike in first week of the war instead of the start of the war.
Well, and not even that. Like the GAC also with the Varsies kills 30 millimeter or tripods insanely quick now because they're classed as vehicles. They send two of those Varsies at your fucking Damascus and it's dead. It's the GAC of all things is our bane. We are fucked. No,
Speaking of banes, Warden's finally got that AT RPG tank.
AP RPG
rocket launcher. Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's fair?
Yes,
I do too. I'm a little frustrated.
Warden infantry struggles to kill Colonial tanks.
I think Colonial tanks struggle to kill Warden tanks.
Right.
That was a joke.
I think initially what they did, because it falls somewhere between the Venom and the Bane when it comes to range, and now they made it to where you have to crouch or shoot it behind cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think you're not gonna see bone saws anymore, because why would you have a bone saw when you can use something more?
And like, okay, one thing that also just really irritates me about the devs at this point in time as well, not that they shoot themselves in the foot with what they say in like the gunboat thing. Oh well, we don't want the Collie gunboat to be as good as the Warden one. You shouldn't say that as a dev, by the way. But going on top of that, they're saying that they want to fix all the gaps and make, a 1-to-1. Even we want asymmetry, but we want, every vehicle to have a counter to it. And it's like, dude, that's simply not the fucking case. The Collies still have 6 vehicle variants less than the Wardens right now. At the given time. It's 35 giggles. Unless they reduced it, it's 35 meters. New launcher is 35 crouched. It's right between the Bane and the Venom, if I'm not mistaken. It's 30 now. Did they change it? So it's a Venom with Bane nerfs.
Yes. One of these days, what's going to happen is in these little like orange texts on the fucking website, you're going to see the words Venom no longer shoots AT RPGs, instead they shoot RPGs, and people are going to freak the fuck out.
No, you're right. Well, sorry, I didn't hear what you just said. By the way, I was reading Tankin's chat. The new thing is 35 meters. It's better than the Venom, worse than the Bane.
Yeah,
that is
and
confirmed.
It should be.
This is where I get very fucking nitpicky with the game, because now I want a Arc RPG handheld. Where's the Collie Arc RPG handheld? Where's the Collie RPG on a tripod? Like, if you're gonna do this 1-to-1 bullshit, like, you need to fucking do 1-to-1. And I think it's ridiculous. I don't think the vehicle gap's getting smaller, though, Daily. I really don't. I know that they just gave us the 250. It is, I can't say that. It is smaller by 1. But the Wardens still have just the GAC and the Hack. Everything else, if you just take those 2 out, the tankettes mirror the fucking scout tank, and our armored car would mirror their armored cars almost, but they still have a GAC and a Hack over us. Yeah, so again, though, honestly, Bonesaw isn't that great shoulder. It's a funny meme. It's super high damage, though. That's the issue, and a lot of towns.
Chance.
What's that?
It's got a set pen chance. Like most, the way armor works in foxholes, each tank has its specific bounce chance. Then it matters how close you are to the tank, and how what angle you're aiming at the tank, in order to get a successful pin. The Bonesaw doesn't do it. It has like a flat, I forget the percentage, no matter where you hit it. But it's also more difficult to hit your shots with the Arc RPG. Mm-hmm. But it does do a fair amount of damage, though.
And I agree with that, too. I think, man, there's just so much small shit, bro. And I fucking hate on my podcast. It's not explained. Well, and there's just so much small shit. Like, even what Giggles is saying in chat right now. Like, again, I want a Collie mounted RPG. Like a AP RPG. Because, like, going and talking about what about the mounted Bonesaw that you guys get that has 40 meters range? It's literally a better beat because it's just way smaller. You can hide it better, and you can stack many of them together. The beat sucks compared to the eat outright. Like, the beat sucks ass. And how do you balance the beat? Do you make it 50 fucking meters so it can fight outlaws? Because the outlaws are the only thing in the game that has 45 meter 40 mil. Unless you're talking about our push gun.
68 cannon on it and revert whatever fucking shitty update that introduced the beat.
I'm just saying, like, bro, like, there's just so many fucking small things. And I want this podcast for me to be as open-minded and, like, not Collie-based. But, dude, when you start talking about all that stuff, like, it really just irritates me that they gave the Wardens a fucking RPG I do think it's wrong that they couldn't fucking steal our Banes and couldn't make the ammo to steal APRPGs. I think it is wrong that they didn't have anything that shot APRPGs. But at the same time, I think that they fucking dominate the ARC RPG game. And one of our biggest fucking defensive weapons is an ARC RPG weapon. And it sucks. Ass. The beat sucks. Everyone fucking hates it. I would laugh if they made the beat use ATRPGs.
It might actually be usable if it did.
I mean, the thing is, no, it's actually worse. That would be worse because it does less damage. ARC RPG does more damage than AP RPG. That's the worst part about it. Unless it was like you made it a straight shot, but even then, like you would have the fucking problem. And here's the other issue. I said that there's only one vehicle in the game, and I quote unquote am right and wrong. There's only one vehicle in the game that can shoot 45 meter distance with 40 mil. That's the Outlaw.
The Outlaw. Yeah.
Now the Collies do get the Smelter, but the Smelter's way fucking slower and way more exposed. It's a lot harder to get that thing in a good position to fucking outshoot an EAT. And, dude, it's just... You have to... Now the devs' dilemma is how do they stop or make a fucking mounted defense for Collies that can fight against Outlaws at a high rate and not be overpowered to the rest of the Warden units. Because of one simple tank that they just overproduce because it's so fucking good. How do you balance that?
Great question.
I don't. Well, yeah, you know, I'd love to hear your thought. Like, you would have to make it fucking shoot 50 meters so they couldn't dodge it. But then everything else would not be able to hit it without getting fucking smashed.
Right.
So that's the dilemma for the devs. Like, that's a fucking, you know, that's where I feel for the devs. But it's a issue of their own making.
Right.
How do you make the the Talos stronger? Because in my opinion, the Talos needs a massive buff. Compared to its counterpart, which either you counterpart it to the STD, or you counterpart it to the
Blockade.
Bone Law. Because theoretically, they made the Bone Law not cost steel, and they made the Talos not cost steel. So it's either those are equals because they're in the same chassis that fight each other. And again, like how do you balance that out now? Because the Talos at this rate gets full suppression, it never hits its mark, slower than shit, and it's just a high health punching bag that can hit concrete if there's nothing watching it. And even then, with multi-place concrete, it sucks at that job too. I love the Talos, don't get me wrong, it's one of my favorite tanks. But it is so fucking hard to use, and it's borderline... I wouldn't put it as bad as the fucking Highwayman, but I would put it slightly above it. The Talos is horrible. It's not produced at all, and there's a reason for it. It's the slowest tank in the game. Can't hit its shot where it needs to. You know, how do you balance that? You make it 40 meters, it's a better BT. You make it faster, it's a better BT. You know what now we're getting into the juice, Taco. Now I want to pick your brain. This is where I wanted to go. We're going in the deep end today, brother. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't want to come off like one side. I want the Highwayman to be better too. I think it's fucking gutter. I think it's in the gutter. No chance of revival unless they change it. I don't think it has a place in the world right now. I think they should just delete that tank, to be honest, and make a new idea. It just can't. It just has taco sauce in it. Damn. Well, I guess we'll start back at the beginning. What do you think? Do you think the ATRPG was good? We both agree. I think it was very good that the Wardens got a rocket. I think they're going to do exactly what they did with the Flask and make Arc RPG launchers irrelevant. Especially since they have the mounted bone saws, which I think are also fucking busted. That's where I feel like collies just have a disconnect on that Wardens don't have good AT. We're so used. This is like the second war or third war now that they haven't had flasks, and they're lost without it. They relied on it so hard. Stickies.
There's nothing else better.
Well, now they're back stuck to where we were with stickies. We had Banes, but they're super expensive. Why can Cutlers still travel past their aim distance and still cause damage? I mean, it's just like the Tremola, though. The Tremola can bounce farther than the Arc and still do damage. And in some cases, that's even more OP. Yeah, I think the ATRPG will be good. I just hate for them to wash away the Arc RPG, the handheld one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could have buffed it. I guess the Arc RPG, the Bone Saw. But I think there was a time where the Bone Saw was actually really good, and it's kind of in the spot where it is now. Because the arc of it, you can do some cheese with it, and you can also do cheese with the beat to some extent, but not as easily as you can with the Bone Saw. And I don't know if it's like, do you give it a longer range? Well, if you get a longer range, do you give it a slower arc, or do you get a faster arc? Is it even relevant anymore now that they have a better platform to shoot than they have? You know.
That's where I almost feel like I wish they would do kind of like an outdated, like, you know how militaries, they'll grow and expand and kind of take away stuff, and it's be outdated stuff. And give new instead of keeping it in. I would like for them to do that. An Agent, the big difference though between the Talos and the HCD, the Talos has 40 meter range, borderline 45 meter. It's like 43 meter range with its gun length. The Talos is a snub nose with 35 meter range. It's a big difference.
Ends up being a little bit shorter than 35 because of the snub.
When you're talking about the HGD to the Talos, like, also one's MPFable, one's on a pad. It's a big difference, you know.
All I'm gonna say is that when I play Colonial, I have no issue killing HGDs.
It's not hard to kill an HGD,
but
it's really not hard for the HGD to kill you either. No.
It's a tank destroyer.
But that's what I'm saying. We don't really have a outright tank destroyer. They keep giving us assault tanks, and they keep giving us tanks with really short range that really have no chance to fight at range with the Wardens, and that's the inherent issue.
Forget about the LTD. Does everybody forget about the LTD? I love the LTD. It's
the LTD. Tank in the game. Remember, the LTD got nerfed into oblivion though with the speed or the bloom.
There's something in here about the LTD.
It did get I think it did just get a buff. I think it did get a buff in that.
I remember when they introduced the bloom, trying to use the LTD, and like it's manageable.
Well, think about this though too.
It's still fucking.
What's it fighting now, though? It used to be outlaws outright. You have not. Outlaws. But have you played it since Outlaws got a 20% Hyvo?
Yeah, we were calling for the update war. We had a facility in not speaking, Silk Farms.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that they changed it to the stability of the silver hand. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't fucking use a silver hand anymore, dude. There's no need.
Why the Outlaw just does it better and HTDs.
It just gets outmoded. Like, why would you use a silver hand um when you can use an outlaw? Yeah, exactly. Like, you need less crew, you do more. I mean, it used to be the thought process that the damage output on the silver hand would be more in line to the Spatha. Well, now the Spatha got locked behind the facility and needs something to make it worth creating your fucking falchions and building it. I think the Silver Hand is a really underutilized tank that the Wardens use because nowadays it just gets bullied. Like,
Well, it needs what the Kali treatment. It needs a low track chance and it needs a low disability chance because it needs
it
to
needs
charge.
something,
Well, again, your problem with the Silver Hand is the inherent problem with all the Kali Vics.
and it handles so much worse than any other tank in the game other than like the super heavies. Like, if you try to, if you've ever driven a Spatha or a Silver Hand, you know that it handles like a bathtub. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it doesn't
Well,
feel good to drive.
the redeeming quality though is you can make STDs,
Yeah, but
and you can also make chieftains with it.
yeah,
And so again, like this is also where asymmetry is not really lining up in the game very well. You could now say the Nemesis is supposed to be the arch rival of the Silver Hand,
yeah,
and the Falchion is the arc of the Outlaw. The
or the new brigand
Bardiche,
now.
well, I'm saying Spatha versus Outlaw, but yes, Brigand versus
It's
Falchion.
both of them Sattler brigand for Falchion.
Yeah. And then
Brigand
the
also costs as
Bardiche,
much as a nemesis to MPF.
the Bardiche is also as good as the HCD quote unquote, but it's not. It's not a tank
I think
killer.
they follow different niches, and I think even though I love the Bardiche, I think it struggles in that niche because you either get tractor fueled in a
Well, and
Bardiche.
this is where I'm talking about those exact things I've been preaching and beating a dead horse in. These are the inherent problems that keep happening for both of these chassis, or a majority of these chassis. The Spatha can handle outlaws. I mean, it's not hard to, like, when the outlaw pokes in, you poke in, trade shots. Like, you will definitely dominate the outlaw most of the time. But if you get a track without outlaw, you're going to pound that fucking, you know what I mean? That's at least somewhat of a fair thing, right?
Right.
There's nothing that in the game, in my opinion, there's nothing that you can poke fight in HCD. LTD could, but if they time that
Yeah.
right and if they poke into you, you can back up and get out of there. But if that LTD is poking into that HCD, they can time it right and punish your ass and almost 50% your health. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even then, at max range, the 68 has a 17% chance to pen.
Depends on where you hit it.
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying head on. That's
Why are
the
you shooting your tanks head on?
well, but that's the thing, Taco. Like, not every time are you going to have access to their sides. There's a majority of the time where people are going to hide in towns or by town halls or by concrete, and you have to meet these things head on.
One moment.
Yeah, you're good. I don't know. Like, I want something for the collies that could be a tank destroyer. I don't think the LTD fits that niche anymore. And to be honest, like, I more compare the LTD to that fucking half track, the blinder, because they're almost the exact same thing. Like, there's just nothing that meets the HTD. You could say the Silverhand is comparable to the Bardiche. You could say the Outlaw's comparable to the Falchion. Like, a lot of our tanks are comparable to the Falchion or the Spatha, but we have nothing that comes close to the HTD. We have nothing that comes close to the Bone Law. I want a tank destroyer. I think that'd be good for the game. But I also want Wardens to get an assault tank. I want them to have a cruiser tank. Like, not a cruiser, but like a assault Vic, you know? Maybe revert the chassis of the Silverhand to be an assault kind of thing. Thanks for the hydrate, dude. I don't know. Like, it's very it's a difficult process to balance this much stuff, you know? And to be honest, like, we're all in this debate about it now, and what I want to talk to Taco about here in a bit is, do you think the game's balanced enough right now to go into Air Update? Or do you think they balanced the game in Air Update? They got about 6 months. Every 2 months they have a... I might be able to go find it. An Onions thing here. Excuse me. Going into Onions thing here. So this is the roadmap. And if you look at it, like, this is update 60. This is what just happened. And then in spring, so you're looking at May, April, or March, April, May, June, July, August. And I'm thinking August is this month. So they're going to do it like August 1st or something. And then June, July will be this one. March, April will be this one. So I'm thinking about every 2 months they're going to be doing a tweaks, game balance. I mean, it's the same, bug fixes, game balance, minor content. So maybe they drop some variants for the Nemesis in here. I don't know. I think they have 6 months to balance the game out. I hope they do. Who knows? And I'm sorry this one's kind of went into more of a balanced tone. I don't really like doing this much, but it's been on my mind, and I'm a little frustrated about the Nemesis nerf. I think it was not needed. I don't even think that, just being collie brain. I just think with all the advantages the Wardens have been getting in their tank lines, and all the advantages they have for anti-tank, plus them getting a new AT launcher that's going to be really solid, I think it's fucking ridiculous to nerf our tanks right now before the Wardens got a big fucking buff in another anti-tank section. I fucking hate that thought.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good, man. I told you I needed this exact time. Imagine. That'd be fucking wild, huh?
What about the new LARP, the flags that they introduced?
Ooh, yeah, I think the LARP will be cool. I'm not gonna lie, not a lot. I know a few of my friends were kind of disappointed that the Wardens got this cool ass fucking boat, you know, that they're gonna be able to LARP in, and then we just got like a textured temple building. Like, a lot of the guys weren't happy with the temple. I don't know about all that, but I know that we said on all of our Arty battery pits, and every time we do Arty, we're going to have a windsock right next to our colonial flag. And we're going to talk to my buddy Gazzy about slapping the bone insignia on the colonial flag and making a cool texturized flag.
From what I hear, it's not too hard to mod those files in Voxel.
No, did I show you guys our
Black Hat
tanks?
did our little.
Did I show you guys our new
Oh.
tanks?
I didn't see shit.
I think who did I send those to? Oh, well, I know where I can find it in useful foxhole mods. So, like, we got the bone bus where it says the bone zone on the side, and Gazzy made all these. We got the BTD in the flak tar Panzer, the bone zone on the back, Spatha, Hatchet.
See, the devs send out patches and that gets sold out within the first 2 hours of them being on sale. But if they really wanted to make money, all they would have to do is just put that behind a little deal. Foxhole supporter pack.
Yeah.
Foxhole supporter pack. Get your fucking camo on your fucking tanks.
Look at
$5,
this, though, dude.
You know?
We got the victory marks on the Nemi. This was my personal ask that I asked him to make for me. We got the bone victory marks on the front, bone insignia on the cheeks, and then on the actual bone one, they're going to have the bone zone right on top. And
that's dope.
Yeah, we're going to get those mods in. And I was really happy with the bus. I think this looks really fucking cool. And the truck. I like all of them a lot, but I thought those two really popped.
That looks like the kind of bus that you'd find at like a paintball field.
Yeah,
you know
it really does. Yeah, it really does. It really fucking does. That's really cool.
Welcome to the Bone Zone.
Then Tankin got his Australian camo on all his shit. Little Aussie bastard.
Oh shit, yeah.
But you know, we got some cool
hard,
camos. It does look cool. I told him I liked it a lot. But so I guess I was okay. I already kind of talked to everyone. I already told everyone, like, I don't really like to talk about game balance in this so much, but I am really frustrated about the Nemesis thing. That already got me a little tilted before this podcast. I want to ask you, though, do you think, and you know, I want your honest truth about it, do you think the game is balanced between both factions right now? And if not, do you think the game is ready? Or I guess another question. Do you think the game is in a good enough state for air to be dropped? The air update?
I think overall balance-wise, it's really hard to judge Foxhole based off balance. Because typically what you say is that factions with most population wins the war. And the last war where it was at full pop for both sides was that last update war, where the Wardens won just outright. It did take a while, though. I didn't really enjoy that war too much. It was just the people that we were palling around with didn't really hold up to their end of the bargain, so me and my guys had to end up doing more work than we really had to.
Mm.
And then I guess that's the what's it called? That's a risky take when you meet with people you haven't worked with before. So there's a possibility that they're not going to fulfill promises. And fortunately, it happened that war. So, you know, it's kind of, we called it the wet fart war. I mean, we still had fun in some cases, but I mean, it's hard to really even decide what is balanced versus like what the devs say is balanced. Like, they have all the numbers, they make all these adjustments, they want equipment to operate in a certain way that they feel like it should. But being a game like Foxhole, the user base isn't going to use the tanks like they should, right? Like, I do think colonials have an issue killing concrete. I think that moving the ballista behind the facility was kind of strange. But overall, from when I play colonial, I don't really see that. Which is, I'm not going to say that. It really did have a big impact on actual um, the killing of concrete or like doing ballista rushes or whatever. Um, I do think some aspects in the game are more balanced than others. Um, if you take like vehicles out of the equation and you have like a infantry fight between the two sides, I think that's kind of the most balanced it's been in years. The update. I mean, I know the bomb is getting nerfed was kind of unpopular with the colonial side, but something needed to happen. And I also don't think that the devs totally understand um, what made the bomb stone so broken. Like they didn't understand what made the flask so broken. So instead of fixing the things that were wrong with it, they make sweeping changes like it's got lower range or it does no damage now. You know, the flask wasn't scary because it did a lot of damage. It was scary because it would disable your tank and then it had the damage to kill it. You know, instead of maybe saying maybe we shouldn't have an item that has 100% track rate. Instead, the item does 200 damage. Cool, whatever. Instead of looking at the bomb stone and saying maybe 100% bleed isn't exactly what we need, that they take away the damage and take away its range. Like, and that's kind of concerning when you talk about all the things balanced. Just simply because of that. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless if some equipment is better than the others, um, it's kind of up to the players to kind of adapt their play styles. And from what I can see from my many years in wars and playing on both sides, Wardens kind of adapt a little bit better than the Colonials, and I'm not sure why that's the case. Um, as for the air update, I'm excited for it. Um, I really want them to be able to work. I really want it to be in a state where it's not like the naval update. One side gets the thing that actually impacts the war, and the other side gets a thing that's supposed to kill that thing, but doesn't really do it because that thing is so good. I really hope we don't do that. I really hope they kind of look into like history and like variants of like aircraft at the time that this game's trying to emulate, and instead of think of it as well, we're giving the wardens a plane that goes faster. We need to give the collies a plane that's open topped or something stupid like that. I think they definitely have an opportunity to take a look at equipment at the time, like I said, and kind of be able to adjust that and kind of think more of it like, well, we made the colonial design this way because maybe X, Y, Z. I don't know. In terms of actual readiness for the game, I don't think it is. Um, but on the other hand, I don't really care. I just want to play if I like.
Do you
And
think
I'll
they're
fly
gonna
with flame from both
balance?
sides.
Do you think they're gonna balance the game with air?
No, God no. I think air is going to be like naval, as it's another aspect that is only going to be available to um, Reggie people, clan man. I don't think your solo player is going to be able to. And I might be wrong. Bombers might be fucking the new 300 millimeter and leak concrete bases just like that. Who knows? I sure hope it's not. But
Hmm. What do you want to see out of the year update? Like what kind of things do you want to see out of the year update?
I want to see dogfights. Personally, I don't give a shit about the bombers. I want to be able to fly up in my airplane and have you fly up in your airplane and have a nice fucking good old War Thunder battle, but in foxhole where it actually matters. Like it actually matters to the rest of the game. Um, I want to see different variants of aircraft. Um, because I mean, aircraft come with different hard mounts and stuff. Um, basically for the different missions, I want to see kind of that gameplay loop be more than just go to a stockpile, draw a vehicle, load it with one type of ammunition, and then go fight. And then it doesn't matter if you come back or not because you have another 5 in stockpile. Um, as far as it being doable, I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing. But in the perfect world, there'd be a lot of things different with Foxhole. But in the perfect world, um, I definitely would like to see um, things that we do in real life kind of mimic in Foxhole and actually. I want to see people who enjoy doing ATC in their little LARP game. I want to see people do ground crew, and that's actually needed. I want to see people um, do combat air patrols regularly so often and be able to actually spot their airplane. Um, I want it to feel like air is a major part of the war, but I don't want it to feel like it's just something that these kids do over here. I'm still gonna go spawn at the bunker base, grab my rifle and 2 clips of ammo, and go fight. So I guess impact too. But I
I
don't
guess
want.
what let's say after you win your dogfight, right?
Yeah,
What happens after that? What
I look for another one.
So you just want to be an absolute zero in the sky, just
Yeah, I want to be an
fucking.
ace in the sky. Yeah, if I need to return to base, I'll return to base. But I want to be able to kind of bring an era foxhole of that culture.
Hmm. I imagine it's gonna be more. Excuse me. I envision this. I envision that it's going to be much more like tanks and naval had a baby. I think you're gonna have people skirmishing in the sky 24/7, and I think you're gonna have people doing gun runs on ground targets, and that's what I'm hoping for is grounded pound. I
Dude, how cool would that
really,
be if you're like sitting there in your nemesis, you're like, "I need an airstrike," and they just come in and fucking 90-degree dive bomb and kill
I
whatever you need.
really
That's what I
fucking
want to
hope that's a
see.
thing.
I really hope that's
I
a thing.
want to see grounded pound, but my whole thing is I think the bombers and stuff, I think you're gonna see it work more like naval assets, where you're gonna have a big ass planned operation, and you're gonna have 50 fucking bombers in the sky, and I think you're gonna go fucking lay some pipe on a fucking base, and they're not gonna be able to do anything about it. And I think that's the type you're gonna lose a lot of planes due to AA networks, but I think you're gonna have dive bombers take out AA networks. I think you're gonna have bombers that strategic bomb, you know, air networks. I think you're gonna have these planes that you're gonna need a 50 fucking flight crew, 20 planes coming in with the heavy ass payload, dropping some fucking natty 250s on a concrete jungle. I want to see,
Yeah,
but this is something else I want to see. Much like in every other facet of the game, there's a super variant. And I want to see an Enola Gay in the sky, and I want air sirens saying there's a nuke, and I want my fucking fighters to have to go try to bring them down and have the Battle of Berlin over my fucking head where you're just seeing planes dropping out of the sky while I'm in my Bofors trying to hit the fucking nuke bomber
yeah.
and watching the fucking nuke land on my forehead. I would love to see that type of thing, and
I
you know
definitely think it would be a lot cool, even if you're not like in the air. like if they render the crashes. So like you're sitting there in your trench and like you're shooting people, and all of a sudden just flaming hot metal just screams down and just fucking lands. I
What if
think
they
that'd be
could
so
kill
cool.
people, dude?
Yeah,
Kamikaze
dude.
or I can't say that on
Even weapons
Twitch.
locked.
Yeah, literally. Oh shit, he's coming down, boys, move!
I definitely so just before we were on this call, right? I was playing Anvil,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this is a podcast about Foxhole, but Anvil Empire is running playtest for a
Dude, we can
week.
talk about
Just started
anything. It's
today.
fine. It's not a big deal.
But the way that combat happens in Foxhole is you spawn, pick up your equipment, run, die, spawn, pick up your equipment, run. That's a whole loop. Or you go to Logi and you go from point A to point B while watching fucking YouTube documentaries on fucking the Luftwaffe or some shit. In Anvil,
Operations.
there's in Anvil, there's really this disconnect between the equipment you use versus how easy it is to get. um, and as equipment is so scarce, all of a sudden your life is more valuable because the last thing you want to do is die and not be able to replace your equipment. Because if you die, your buddy that died is going to come steal your equipment, and you're going to spawn with a stone knife. And unless there's anything in the base, you're going to be shit out of luck. It plays a lot slower. It plays a lot tacticalier. I mean, even today, I
Tactically,
got
I like
into
that.
a skirmish. Tacticalier.
I
And
like
I got
that.
into a skirmish, and it's kind of like both sides were. It's like they're both edging each other to see who would come first. You know, they would just sit there like, no, don't push, don't push, don't push. All right, now we're pushing, and
Okay,
it's it's very
so
interesting.
I would actually love to make a comment on this, and I think what you said would make the world of Foxhole a better place tenfold. Okay, the fucking 5 per crate on the Falchions means absolutely fucking nothing. At this stage of the game, you can produce just as many tanks as the Warden as you do on the Collies.
Right.
Like, it's
Your
not
equipment means nothing in Foxhole,
exactly.
whereas it means something in Anvil,
I
and because your
think
equipment means something, your life means something.
if you fucking made tanks very scarce, I think if you went with that model in Foxhole, where sandbags and digging in, and then you had like tier 2, and that was like good shit. And if you had concrete, that was like the mega fortress for the hex. You know, like you could only one. You know, you get one per hex. That's all that hex can afford. You know, you have one bastion in the hex, and then you have outposts. I think if the game went in that direction, I think having 5 falchions versus 3 outlaws or 3 brigands. I don't think the brigand's good, by the way, but I think even in the case of 5 falchions versus 3 silverhands, or the fucking however you want to go with tanks, whatever. If you made tanks more scarce, make having those tanks be more prudent, so the HCD, if it killed a tank of one of those 5, it'd be a big fucking deal. But if those 5 killed those fucking HCDs, that's how,
Yeah, it's value, it's worth.
you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like, if you kill an HCD, it's like, fuck yeah, boys, like we got them. How we feel about super heavies, we should feel about medium tanks. And a
right.
super heavy
It
should
should.
be like won a game, and the whole fucking game is putting in on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think if they went with that route and went more of a community based game, which was what they want, I think the game would feel a lot better. Excuse me. I know that
I,
they're trying to sell copies and they want everyone to be the hero, but that's not the way Foxhole works. And I think tanks meaning nothing hurts the game.
I agree with you
actuality.
there. I think the whole tank combat needs a second look at. I think the armor system needs looked at. I
Hold
think how
on.
we.
What
Hold
about
on.
a manual transmission?
Oh shit! Like on the heavy trucks.
Hell let loose transmission on
Yeah,
tanks,
dude.
dude.
What
Make
if
tank
it in
combat
towing tanks, dude? What if
exactly,
tanks are so
bro.
scarce? What if they're so scarce that when they die, their husk doesn't despawn, so you
You
can go up in your
fucking
tank,
yeah,
fucking
get
tow that shit out of
a
there,
what
and
is that
repair
thing
it, and
called?
then
In World War II, they had those fucking harvester trucks or whatever that came and fucking just hitched that fucking thing up there, towed that shit up, and hauled it back to base. Fucking scrapper, I don't know what the fucking name
yeah,
was. You know what I'm talking
right,
about, though. A
yeah,
fucking harvester, pretty much, for the tanks. I think that'd be fucking sick. I think I think that would make the game feel good. I think that would make infantry feel awesome. Because infantry tactics, when you kill a tank with a fucking Bane gang, it'd be like, fuck yeah, boys! Like, whoa! Like, it'd be sick.
yeah.
I think if you
I
made the
I
game
definitely think
smaller, it would be
yeah, I think the
bigger.
tanks need to be less produced. They need to be more scarce. I think they need, if they're going to be more scarce, they need to be more scary. I
I
think that
agree.
every tank in the game needs at least one machine gun, if not two. Um,
Do American versus
Help
Germany,
facilitate
dude.
that.
Where they,
Yeah,
at the beginning of the war, and like the fucking hatchet and divots, they got one hull mount. And by the time they get to the Bardiche, you got one hull mount, one turret mount,
yeah,
one fucking on the top. You
yeah.
know,
Just fucking all the machine guns, dude.
all of
Yeah,
them. And I think that would, you make it this style of almost hell let loose. When you see that fucking Tiger tank looking at your little Sherman, dude, you're, oh shit, but you got three Shermans. You get to role
yeah,
play Fury. Right stick, right stick. Ah! You could do that
yeah,
though, and it'd be the HTD versus the Falchion. You got the HTD fucking pounds the middle tank. Freddy's gone. Keep flanking. Get on his ass. I got him. I got him. Put smoke in his face. Like, dude, that would make,
That-
or if you had the fucking infantry battalion walking their ass up on a fucking camo net fucking tank, and they fucking send an HE and blow like 10 dudes up, and then everyone's, oh fuck, grab the Panzerfaust, put it in the side, just, like,
yeah. Your tank's disabled
give
on the
us
floor.
that
You can still,
immersion,
yeah.
Fucking let
Maybe
the
for Foxhole
engineers.
too.
Foxhole 2, give me that immersion, dude. I want hell let
Immersion,
loose.
dude.
Hell let
Shrink
loose
the
on
fucking
every
game.
hex. Every hex should be hell let loose, bro. It
That
should
would be so much more memorable if they did that. If they just shrink the game, and not even
bro.
shrink the game by like shrinking the amount of players in the hex, but like
Make
you
the
said,
amount
that
of players
equipment
in the hex
scarce.
bigger. Make it.
Yeah.
I want a 500 v 500. Fucking. You're out there. All you get given from the supply hauler. You get 2 mags, a bandage, and a rifle, son. Make it fucking work. And then you get the one dude that's a sergeant major or major, and he's like, all right, you get the Panzerfaust. You get out there and you show those
Yeah.
boys what the fuck's up.
And
And then
the
you get the
whole
one
lore
dude with
Foxhole,
the billy club, with the fucking armor suit and shit. Just the ding, ding, ding. The fucking brigadier general. Imagine that motherfucker running at you in the trench, dude.
Yeah. So, like, the whole lore of Foxhole is that this land has been ravaged by war for so long that the way that new war equipment gets produced is by literally scrapping battlefields of scrap, going through junkyards and such.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it plays is you're just fucking, the third industrial revolution. Like, things get made so quickly by so many people. I don't think that should be a thing. And I don't think timers or even crate sizes would fix that issue. I don't know what would fix that issue. I mean, could you imagine if like
Okay,
tomorrow
dude. I got an
Foxhole
idea.
comes up with an okay.
No, I want to hear you out, but I'm going to drop a fucking heater on you, son. Go for it. What were you saying? Tomorrow, Foxhole.
Oh, Tomorrow Foxhole is just all of a sudden like, all right, you can only carry a top of 15 rifles in your truck and 100 rounds of ammo. Good luck. Like, and they got rid of the default pistol and hammer option. You have to build those.
You start bare hands.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You gotta scrap for everything.
Dude, okay. All right. So here's my grand idea, right? So you got Kalakai and Basin Sinich, right? What if instead of them doing this, let's make it 4 hexes. Let's make it 4 hexes. So Kalakai, I don't fucking, not the smartest man in the world, and I need to look at the map. I don't remember all the names. So you got Kalakai, Red River, Great March of Krithia, Basin, Reaching, Speaking, Howl. Okay? You have 4 hexes a piece. Those are the only Logi towns. Period. Those are the only fucking towns that spawn scrap. Those are the only towns that spawn HE mats. I mean, literally everything bumps out of. Or let's even just do the test run with components. Those are the only places in the components that components spawn in the game. And that's the only place tanks can spawn in the game.
You still get like factories and stuff up, but the only refineries that spawn are that far back.
Talk about actually having to forge logistical units. Instead of having clans, you have to have all 4 of these guys at max capacity working together, saying, all right, we need to fucking put Logi up here or we're going to lose fucking 6 hexes, you know? And then you have the dudes up front, the logistics liaison officer saying, all right, well, we can only dispatch out so much ammo, you know, today. Because if we give our full stockpile today, we're fucked. Like, we're not getting another shipment till next, 4 hours, dude. We're fucked. You know what I mean? And it's like, what if logistics really had to, like, make a plan and players were forced to work as a team? You know what I mean? And really made it to where like
that.
And then if they sent a fucking shipment of tanks up, like, you wouldn't get a shipment of HTDs. You know what I mean? You'd get one driven to your place. Driven.
Right.
Or flatbed or whatever. It would get driven there, and when you got a train load, that's your fucking big Logi for the month. You might not get some of those things for a month or in-game month, or whatever. But like, what if they made it like that, bro? Where it's like, you have to fucking make this shit last, because we're not getting a whole new batch of all 4 hexes aren't getting more rifles for another 6 hours because they're crafting. And it's like, then you get down into the fisticuffs, stealing fucking, the trench knives that never run out of ammo would mean something. The billy clubs would mean something. Bayonets would mean something.
Seasons.
And then seasons where the snow's in, dude, and you can't march out or you'll freeze to death, dude.
Tier 5 snowstorms, dude. Yes, you have to huddle behind the fucking thing.
You're sitting in the fucking trenches and you're looking over across at them and you're just looking at the enemy and I can't fucking hit you and you can't hit me, motherfucker. And you're just, putting the sandbags up, getting your position fortified, getting everything in position. And then the thaw.
Then you would have to deal with partisans. Well, how do you deal with partisans? Well, if equipment costs a lot more, you need an escort. Armored cars now have their niche filled. Now you have a reason to use armored cars beyond the second week of the war.
And if you have a partisan with like an RPG or something, dude, and you take his ass out, like, that's a big win. Yeah, we got an RPG, boy. We got some AT on the front. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, bro, you kidding me? Fucking strap that up in the bunker, boys. No one touch that shit until we see the next fucking chieftain. And then when the chieftains come out, dude, you're fucking, shitting your britches, bro, because you get a big old fucking mortar shell in your trench line, dude. It's, oh, fuck! You might not have another shovel. It might got stolen. You know, then you don't have fucking
Replace
cover.
replace the hammer with an E tool, and all the E tool can do is dig trenches and foxholes.
Fuck that.
And
Not even
that's
a
it.
trench. They can dig foxholes and actually make foxholes mean something and make a
Yes,
legit
that.
foxhole. And if you can upgrade it to a tier 2 foxhole, so the first one's the one it is now. And then the tier 2 would be like a little underground bunker with a shooting position, like a rifle port, you know what I mean, that you could shoot out of. And then like the third one, give us hatchets. Make it a reinforced foxhole where you put wood logs to reinforce your shit, or give metal beams a new purpose. And then you have a reinforced foxhole, a reinforced firing position. And then you start putting fucking AT mines out in the field. And then you start having the AP mines actually mean something in the wood line.
Yeah, makes things mean something, yes. And AP mines can also mean something because you leave a position, you leave a lot of shit that's behind, right? Well, you can't take everything with you, but you have AP mines, and so you start booby trapping shit.
Lay the fucking trenches with mines when they get in there to take that position. Boo! Freddy's gone! Oh shit! You know what I mean, bro? Like,
so since we're talking about like war starts, I don't know why the devs don't do anything like crazy. Then the craziest thing they do is east versus west, but I have an idea. Okay, let's say we make a lore accurate war with Foxhole. So the wardens start with territory north of the bulwark. Everything north of the bulwark is wardens. Colonials have to start south. The colonials get a tech advantage. They start with up to Bardish tech, and the wardens start with LT tech. But the wardens get a faster tech rate, and the colonials don't. And then the colonial win condition is to push back and hold abandoned ward for like 3 days or something like that. Or the warden win condition is to have abandoned ward and another victory point past X amount of days or whatever. How cool would that be? Like, why can't we have war starts like that?
All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So like, Deadlands, obviously like, the middle hex, you know. But what if they did it like this? What if they did it like an actual invasion? Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, hold on. But I'm going a step back. What if the colonial starts with full Navy tech, and we have to land to take Calakai? What if we had to land, like, or let's say they, you know, change up the map a little bit, open up the waterways. What if the fucking war starts with a D-Day-esque style war?
The devs have the opportunities to do shit like this, but they don't. We still get the same war over and over again. What ends up happening is you have players that burn out, players who get bored. I'm pretty fucking bored with Foxhole right now. That's the whole reason
I've been enjoying my break. Yeah. I've been playing Call to Arms with the boys, little Tarkovsky. But you know what? Here's the other thing, though. I have made a podcast on this game every fucking week for 4 weeks straight now. I love this game so fucking much at what it could be because I see the potential it has. It's such a cool fucking game. They just don't have that pizzazz. They don't have that. You know what I mean? Like I want the fucking wardens to be the concrete fucking beasts. You know, I want them to be Germany World War II, digging the fuck in, mines everywhere, you know, MG42s ripping my buddies in half. And I want to be the Americans where I have 10 Shermans for every one of your tanks. And I want to rip into your fucking defenses. And I want to encircle your dudes. And I want to take your land. And I want to steal your shit. I want to live in your house. Never mind, I'm not going to fit. But you know what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying though, bro? Like, give me that. Give me that.
If equipment was scarce like that, you would probably see shit like that. You would see this huge concrete wall that's really hard to get, but somehow the wardens have.
I mean, imagine how
That'd
effective.
Be so cool.
Imagine how effective a Lamentum would be with scarcity. Like, if you had 12 belts of 200 rounds of 12-7 in a good fortified, like, foxhole, and you fucking, you know, you're a fucking, or I don't know, the rat catcher, you're a warden, right? You got 10 mags, 200 rounds, and you see the fucking Kali horizon. You see fucking 30 dudes marching up, and they don't see you. And it just make a fucking blood field, you know what I'm saying?
Ruin 10 guys dead at the same
you
time.
would fucking, you would give yourself such a, like, rewarding video and such a rewarding feeling. You'd be like, I just fucked those dudes' plans up, their days up. They're losing 10 rifles, 20 magazines. I'm stealing all their shit. We're eating good tonight, and we can do a patrol with their shit tomorrow. I'm going to go scout their little skunk hole, you know what I'm saying? Like, their little shithole, you know, and with their shit. And that'd be so sick, dude. You would have such field hospitals. The amount of shit that, like, self-reliance, how well that would be taken up. Medics, you'd have to protect them so hard. If you had a medic with full inventory die, holy shit. You know what I mean?
Not only is he dead, but
now you've killed 30 people. You've killed 30 people killing that medic. That'd be insane. And, you know, maybe we're going into a whole different game. That, like, this doesn't even sound like Foxhole, but it could be. Too. You know, but this could be. This could be what Foxhole could be. You know,
that's kind of crazy, because that's kind of how Anvil is shaping up, is that it's focusing on the micro, not the macro. Like, you still need to have, like, in Anvil, if first off, in Anvil, it's not like Foxhole. There's no front line.
Mm-hmm. Okay? It's just skirmish.
You can't. It's a skirmish. You dictate the pace of the war as the player, which means groups that are better organized or bigger are going to be able to control that push. Which means downtime between fights is you working on your settlement, you know, stockpiling supplies, building the supplies, what have you. But everything is just
I do see a problem.
You have to go find the resource.
I do see a serious problem in that, though. So, like, population's an issue in Foxhole. Population's going to be a issue in Anvil. Because
but the thing with Anvil is that the whole server infrastructure is different. So you don't have hexes, you don't have queues, you don't have pop balance.
But what I'm saying is you have a King Henry V riding up with 50 fucking knights on horses, and he running with a fucking Salahuddin army with 10,000 fucking men to come raid down all of you and your families and your family's families, and then his cousin's uncle over in 10 fucking, you know, bastions away, and he just comes and my land, my land. Saladin.
Then your faction is just the guys, because there's going to be 3 factions in Anvil. There's going to be 3 of them. So if you're the weaker faction and if you die because of pop imbalance, I'm sorry. That's just going to be how the game runs, you know.
You were the weak.
Strong. Like I'm sorry. Like, maybe you and your boys, you know, are two. Then you become a petty kingdom, or maybe you work out a deal with one of the other guys, and all of a sudden you're their fucking vassal or some shit. They agree to let you alive, or simply you don't have the pop. Your border shrinks to what you can defend, right? I can't defend this whole massive ground anymore. It's like history. I can't defend this whole ground anymore. I can only effectively defend these 3 keeps with my population. That's how big you are.
Dude. I'm telling you, though, when there's a clan that gets to recruit like 420th, and you have a million little rat-tillion fucks running around with spears, and they mop your fucking army of heavily equipped knights because they trampled your shit in, and they beat your fucking castle down with rocks, you're going to be pissed, dude. This is Rust 2.0. The Zergs are coming, brother. You don't get to fucking hide with your M2 in there. I have 50 fucking nakeds here. We're going to rock your shit down, and we're taking all your fucking loot.
Yeah, but you don't get a rock. You get a stone knife that doesn't do anything. And if you're going up against a geared dude, he's gonna kill you one shot.
You can't kill 50.
Yeah, you can, because you do so less damage, and the equipment that you have does so much more that you just like swing once and kill two people.
You just wait. The Zergs are coming, dude, and they're gonna
I'm
you're gonna sit there with your little fancy suit of armor, and these little fucking, what were they called? Neanderthals? Little like
Neanderthals.
these little
Yeah.
Neanderthals are gonna come with their stone fucking spears, and they're gonna jab your shit in, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" You're gonna
Soundboard some shit, dude.
dude.
Fucking NFL primetime music.
Dude. You're gonna have the. Oh my god, bro! You're gonna have the NFL fucking highlight popping up.
Whatever fucking brain rot meme shows up, they'll probably be like, some guy will have like bread, and that's gonna be a meme. It's gonna be funny. Like all the 17-year-old kids are gonna be like, oh, he said bread.
It is a Foxhole podcast. We're talking about a lot. Well, first of all, I'm gonna post it to YouTube. You must have missed a lot, but
Talked about the difference between Anvil and Foxhole, that Anvil's more scarce.
yeah, I think
That's how we got on this tangent.
I think that would make Foxhole good, though. I really think that would give the Collies their MPF bonus worthwhile, and I think that would make the high velocity and the really nasty shit that the Wardens get on their tanks even better. You know what I mean? I think that would placate.
It should feel like a real victory if you kill one tank. Then you no longer get tank lines. You don't have enough
Exactly.
tanks for tank line.
Exactly.
You know?
And I also
You get
think
3
if
or
you,
4 tanks at most.
I think if you also made tanks move more realistic, you know, like with the manual transmissions and stuff, first, fourth,
have more
or first,
realistic
second,
armor.
third, fourth gear. You know, if you get side penned, you know, it's an instant fucking, like if you get hit in the ass, you're engined. You're done. You can't move until you repair that engine.
And your engine has a chance to catch fire. You have a chance for ammo load, ammo rack, dude. How cool would it be if you're in your fucking Stygian and you're in the bush, dude, and you load your like 94 and a half, and an outlaw driving by, and you just fucking hit it in the side, and the fucking top just goes poof.
I mean,
How fucking dope would that be?
dude, can you imagine being in a little, like, Fort 68 push gun, and you see a tank column roll past you? Boom! Boom! And you just fucking pop, like, 4 or 5 tanks before they can even swivel their turret at you, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Pop 5 tanks in the side and just fucking ammo rack the shit out of them. Have a War Thunder-esque style, like, shot placement.
Get a hole in your left wing.
Pull up! Pull up!
Supply convoy coming up, dude.
Dude.
Hey, man, now you're strafe the supply convoy.
Fuck the trains,
No.
dude. Put a bomber on a train. Boop, 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 boop. Dude, just fucking white, fucking 6 weeks worth of logi. Boop, deleted. And it's gone.
And it would mean a lot more, like encircle, like if you encircle in Foxhole. Don't get me wrong, it's a big, massive deal, a big, massive accomplishment. But could you imagine like the baths?
Yeah. It'd be wild.
Fucking wild, dude. You're sitting there fighting with sticks and stones.
Well, okay, imagine this, though. Imagine you own Jade Cove and you're encircled.
Nuke it.
But seriously, though, imagine you're in Jade Cove and you have, like, probably, 50, 60 shirts left, and all you got is, 40, 50 rifles, 100 mags, fucking 2 RPGs, fucking 6 rockets, and you got the warden or the collies outside knocking on the door, fucking 100 strong, tanks rolling. Can you imagine the tooth and nail fighting? Oh, that'd be sick. I mean, especially if you had realistic armor, kind of stuff. You pop one of those fucking big tanks and block up the whole convoy from getting in. Make your own little fucking barricade. And then they have to haul yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. You block up that ramp, dude. Set up real blockades that would actually stop tanks, and they'd have to bring a dozer tank in, haul that shit out of the way. Fuck. Flame tanks, dude, would actually just incinerate. That building just catches fire, starts lighting the whole town ablaze, dude. If you don't have buckets, fucking then your whole town burns as you watch. Fuck. That'd be sick, dude.
It would be sick.
Well, I guess the only other question I usually ask everyone, is there anything you want to see in Foxhole that's not in right now?
We just talked about that, dude.
Yeah, that whole thing. Tacos. You want tacos in the game?
Tacos. Fucking scarcity in Foxhole. I feel like, yes. Yeah, scarcity. That's the one thing in the game that I want to see. I remember not long ago where shit was scarce, right? If you want to do an artillery op, you couldn't just go to your local fucking facility and load up on 120s. You had to take your 120s from the supply depot in a small shipping container in its crates to the bunker base. For the bunker base, you had to grab each individual artillery rifle shell, and then if you're like setting up a gun position, you'd build boxes there. You load all the boxes with all the artillery that you can have. Sometimes people go, "Oh, I have a few crates," and they ship it up and they move it around, and then you shoot your artillery, you do your op, you kill the tier 2 bunker base that's been holding on for fucking 3 hours. And then, you go in there and you clear it. That was such a fun time in Foxhole. This is back when shit was scarce.
I do think, and I think this is in a majority of games, I remember this is just another old game that I think was one of the best. Battlefield Bad Company 2. I don't know if you ever played that.
Oh, I love that game, dude.
One of the best fucking Battlefields because the gameplay felt meaty and rewarding. Even though you only killed 3 dudes, you were like, fuck yeah, I just cleared that house, dude. I was sick. You know what I mean? And then now when you get a quad kill in fucking Battlefield 4, you're like, oh yeah, I just shot that fucking RPG in the plane at that helicopter. That was fucking cool. Just add it to the clips. Oh well. It's like, you don't get that fucking gobbledygook, that rewarding feeling.
Valparaiso, dude. Valparaiso, you get in the blackjack. You play on the US side. You play...
Erica Harbor, dude.
Oh. Yeah, dude. You get the fucking helicopter. And then you play Rush, right? Because Rush is the only game.
Rush is the best. That's the only game you play.
Yeah, you're just constantly
I was an M16 ACOG main, dude.
Yeah, just orbit the point, and then people jump off, go arm it.
Oh man, I could hold that shit down like a champ, dude. I'd get the GL ACOG attachment, and I would open up a hole on the bomb site, and I'd just not touching my bomb, bitch. Oh man, so good. Well, dude, what's up?
So you play any Monster Hunter?
I haven't played that, but I'm gonna wrap this up. We're hitting 2 hours. Guys, no, you're good. That's what I'm saying. I love these. They go by and they're awesome, and they go places, and I love this, dude. I really do. I love the podcast, and I love what it does. Anyway, guys, thank you for your time. Thanks for tuning in. I want to thank my guest, Elite Taco, for coming in today. Great guest. Kind of went all over the place, but that's what these things do. If you guys have any questions for us, we'll be in the chat down below. After this, I'll probably be hanging out with Taco for a little bit here, and just want to say thank you guys again, and I will catch you guys on the next one. See you guys.